Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. All right, so I've got my watches out. I'm wearing my Aquaterra. It's back on my wrist. Yeah, look at that blue. Look at the blue. I said, look at the blue. I've got my Omega Sailor's bracelet on. Clearly, this is a watch video. And you're probably looking at the thumbnail and you're going like, I don't get it, David. Like, what do you mean fall back in love with my watches? I love all my watches. Well, maybe we can tweak that thumbnail description. Maybe it's more about appreciating your watches. Now, don't sit there and tell me that you don't favor one or a few of your watches. If you have more than a few, and by the way, I totally get it. Let me say 57 seconds in, that if you have more than one watch, you're very lucky. You're very fortunate. We all feel very fortunate and privileged to, if you collect watches or you have more than one or two or three or 80, I don't know how many you have, you're very privileged. It's wonderful, but you have a little bit of an obsession with watches. Mine was obviously came about from James Bond. It just was. Tomorrow Never Dies. Saw it in there, saw the gadgets, tied it together, put it with my passion, put it on my wrist, and I bought the damn thing. And you may have done the same. And I don't know, I may have done it a couple times more since then. This is just a part of the collection. But what I wanted to talk about is sometimes you get a new watch. Sometimes, for example, when I got the 60th anniversary watch, I didn't wear it at all. I know, it was like a non-favored baby, but then I started wearing it almost ad nauseum to the point where all the other ones were sort of put away. They did not really see a lot of the light of day. Same thing happened when I bought this Aquaterra. 2012 Skyfall Aquaterra. Was in love with the size. It was a little bit smaller than I was used to, but that blue, did I mention that blue? The way it looks on me, the connection to the movie, right? These type of psychological but also style aspects tied with functionality, they start to infest. I know I'm talking to you and I know you're getting what I'm saying, because then you start wearing it every day and then you want to wear it the next day because it's new and wonderful. And I've talked about this, but these watches are more than just mere accessories. They're more than just jewelry. They're a connection. They're a nostalgic connection to heritage, to a brand and the brand story and message, in this case, Omega. It's a tie, on our cases, if you're part of the Bond community and you have a Bond watch, to the movie, to a moment in the movie, and maybe just sometimes to a character. I think Daniel Craig when I see this. I just do. The eyes, anyone? Did I say the blue? But so many of these, for example, when I got my Planet Ocean from Casino Royale, look at this honking thing, 45.5. I thought to myself, that is Daniel Craig. Because Daniel Craig in that movie was like a wrecking ball. He smashed through things, as opposed to, the Connery or the Moore way of like talking elegantly and talking through it and disarming people through charm. He had that a little bit, but he was also a blunt instrument. And this, to me, looks like a blunt instrument. But I can tell you, as I'm handing these out to you, they've all seen more extreme time than others. You see, I was the type of individual that I did not put my watches on rotation. What's that? I'm sorry? What's rotation? Okay, there's a couple of you out there that do not know the watch term rotation. Essentially what that means is that you take your watch collection, or part of it, and you rotate them depending on a few different aspects. And this gets into how to love and appreciate your watch even more. Because what I do now is, through rotation, I go through certain criteria, and you can do this too. This is not rocket science. This is simple. The first thing I do is, the night before, I actually take a look at my day ahead. Let's say it's a work day. And I think about, what am I going to wear? Am I going to wear, for example, a Zaritsky Terry Polo? Will I be relaxed? Well, maybe I'll wear my Aquaterra, but maybe that's a little too dressy. Maybe I'll actually go in there, and since it's a terry polo and it's relaxed, I'll go No Time to Die, because it's a corporate scenario. It's got clean, slick lines, but it's also got the ode to Jamaica. In other words, what I do is I think about the moments I'm going to be in, the experience I'll be having. I think about the environment, corporate versus playtime outside versus chopping wood. And then I tie it to the connection with James Bond. Yeah, this isn't just merely a watch rotation video. This is how to love and appreciate through the filter of James Bond and your watches. So that's how I may go and pick one of these out. Now, what I tried to do, this thing's going to close on me. You know, it's boom, and then you're going to see blood everywhere, and we're not going to cut. Are you not entertained? What movie? But one of the things that I do is I consciously remember that I wore No Time to Die. So the next day, as I think about rotation of watches, I try not to repeat. And here's another technique. Try not to repeat. Yeah, write this down. This is gold. I do and have worn the same watch double in a row lately. Now, the one that I tend to wear a couple times in a row for certain reasons is my Quantum of Solace Planet Ocean, the 42 millimeter, for very good reason. It is, I'm going to insult it, but I'm not insulting it. It's my most basic watch. Basic in the sense that it is the quintessential, I believe, James Bond watch. It looks like a watch that you would see from the 60s. It kind of looks a little bit like the Rolex, the Submariner in a sense, but that mid-size weight, the beautiful, beautiful bracelet, the way it looks in the aesthetics, simple and clean, like the ingredients of a beautiful pasta dish in Italy. Simple and clean. So if I'm thinking ahead and putting things in rotation, I think to myself, you know, I'm going to be wearing a polo. I love the knock and tumble. I'm wearing a Sunspell polo. I mean, come on. You know, I try to gravitate all these things together. I'll go with something like this. If I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt and I'm not in corporate, but maybe I'm going out somewhere with couples or friends, I'll tend to wear this because this is just a confessional. This looks a little rough and tumble. To me, it smacks of masculine. So I'm trying to create an essence and a persona, but it's also the psychology of, like, again, looking down at this watch and being able to connect to the movie and the character. I love, not like, I don't know if you know, I love Daniel Craig's portrayal of James Bond in Quantum of Solace. I think it's a little bit of fun, total badass, gritty as anything, serious, but the guy's a killer. I mean, that's to me who Bond is. And I have a lot of fun watching that movie. So this watch brings me right back. So this watch, if I travel, for example, takes me places even beyond where I'm traveling. I tomorrow am going to Boston, Massachusetts. Now, Boston's a great place, but I'm going there for a business meeting, a 90-minute business meeting. I'm traveling a lot of time, a lot of distance for a 90-minute business meeting. There's going to be a lot of downtime. I probably will wear the Quantum of Solace because when I look at it, it transports me away into the movie, and it's a nice, wait for it, escape. Yeah, escape valve, anybody? We have our own escape valve, and that is the connection to these movies. So putting these on rotations and then connecting them to your environment, your situation, your experience, and the moment in the movie, that's part of the magic. Now, another technique altogether, is the feel. And you're like, what on earth are you talking about? Well, if you have multiple watches, you know that each watch has a very different feel to it when you're wearing it. Some, like I mentioned before, are extremely heavy, right? They've got a lot of real estate. Others, it is the band themselves. Like this is my Tomorrow Never Dies Seamaster. The band itself, because you've got this kind of like Tetris-like band. I know there's a name for it. So you watch people can jump in here and go, David, it's a tetrahedron band, whatever it's going to be called. This has an incredibly comfortable bracelet. So if I have activity, if I have some sort of activity where I'm moving, I'm on the water, I'm doing something, I tend to wear this because it's so comfortable. It moves with me. It's not that this doesn't, but this just has a certain je ne sais quoi. No, I do know je ne sais quoi. It has a certain style, but function that connects to the way it's been designed around my wrist. So it moves very well with me. But there are some, for example, that just have a feel that's totally different than everything else, and that's why I gravitate to them. For example, if I know that I'm going to be wearing something, but I have activity, but I may be sweating, and I know this, here, perspiring, I know we're getting into detail, and you're like, David, why did I sign up for this video? Stay with me. I may wear the Spectre, and you're like, David, isn't that a really expensive watch to sweat in? It's got a NATO band. It can be cleaned very easily, but it's comfortable. I'm not going to have metal against my skin. I'm going to have this wonderful, wonderful fabric, this NATO fabric. And again, classic, simple line, not a monster commitment as far as size. So I may gravitate towards the Spectre. One of the things that I wanted to show you is, this is where I lose people. Don't go away. If I'm doing activity outside, like I was doing some yard work. Was it yard work, David? You were throwing some things into the bushes off to the side. Big deal. But I was out there for a little bit, pretending I'm doing yard work. So I wore a moon swatch. Now I wore a moon swatch for a couple reasons. First of all, I like to have a watch on. I'm very comfortable with it. I love this style. This is the Earth one. You can see right here. I've done a review on it. But it's super lightweight. It's got the, hold on, ASMR, 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 very satisfying. It's got the Velcro, so it's easy to put on, easy to take off. And I'm just going to say it. If a sledgehammer happens to hit it, I'm not going to cry myself a river. I'd be upset. I'd be like, oh my gosh, why am I sounding like William Shatner? Oh my gosh, my moon watch, my Earth watch, it's, but it was $280, so I'm not going to cry a river. That's practicality. That's appreciating and loving my watches, but also having a certain practicality about the ones that I use depending on the situation I'm in. Now, take everything that I just said and put it to the side for a moment. Just park it. I'm not saying to get rid of it, just park it for a moment. Because the other thing I want to talk about as far as appreciation is a little bit of a force fit. Not force fit like Luke, trust your feelings. That's different. That's another video. A force fit in the sense that if you notice, and I do this, so you may want to try this too. If you notice that one of your watches is feeling like an orphan, it's not getting a lot of love, try taking it and forcing it into rotation. Even if you're putting it into a situation where you normally wouldn't think that watch should inhabit. I would like to give you an example so you know what I'm talking about and it's not just gobbledygook. I'm going to take out the Tomorrow Never Dies again because this is a watch that I put out of rotation. Why? Because I had all these fun new ones, right? I had the 60th anniversary going. I had all these fancy doodads and I had my go-to, my Quantum of Solace, which is my usual one. And suddenly my original baby, my firstborn Omega. I don't know why I was cupping that. That was just, was not getting any love. So what did I do? I cleaned it. It was the first thing I did. I cleaned it. I mean, I cleaned it. Look at how pretty. I cleaned it. I gave it a little bit of home maintenance, gave it a little bit of love, really looked at it, appreciated it. And then the very next day, I wore it with an outfit. Did it go perfectly? Were there other things in my crazy process and methodology that would have gone better with the outfit? Probably. But I said, you know something, I'm gonna give this a try. I had so much fun wearing this watch again. So much fun that I wound up wearing it every other day for an entire week. And now it's back in my regular rotation. So sometimes, just like, oh, this is going to be terrible to say, but I'm just going to say it because it's my channel. Just like, one of your children that may not be your favored, or maybe it's the difficult child, sometimes you've got to just force yourself to spend a little time with them. You've got to kind of give them a little bit of attention and give them a little bit of love. And then suddenly you'll rediscover why you had that child to begin with. Boy, the analogy just went south. But you know what I'm talking about. You'll rediscover that almost through forcing your hand. Get it? Watch, hand, arm, wrist. The dad jokes keep coming. So there you go. Just a couple ways I think you can use. And by the way, I wouldn't have done this video because it's kind of a unique video. I wouldn't have done this video if I hadn't gone through this myself. There are times when I just do not connect to my watches. And the last one I'll end with is one that a lot of you have said, David, I see it in the box, but you never wear it. And that's my Rolex. Yeah, the one that is the 1987 Rolex No Date. Looks just very similar to the Roger Moore one. I got it ages ago because it smacked of Connery and Roger Moore, and I loved it, and I still do. But my wife has adopted it, and she wears it, and she loves it as one of her watches. But I just resized it, and I've been putting it in the rotation. Mea culpa, I love Omega. It is my brand of choice. I'll just say that publicly. No big surprise. I got a giant Omega display over there. Some of my good friends work at Omega. I love the company. But this watch still has a lot of power and connection to me. So I bring it in from time to time because, again, I don't want it to be that unloved, unwanted, and my gosh, it's a Rolex No Date. That would be absurd and rather heretical to put it aside. So it's back, and it's better than ever. So there you go. Just some of the ways that I go about falling in love again. Oh, it's so romantic. It's so romantic with my watch. They drive, they inspire me. I think it'll do for you as well. In the meantime, I'm going to go play. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.